So by default, the i3 window manager works fairly well with multiple monitors, but there's a few tweaks you can make to it that'll make it even better. So if you're new to this channel, remember to subscribe and ding the little bell icon down below because it'll really help the channel out. I'm trying to do 1,000 subs by sometime next year, I guess, and your help would be really appreciated. So now that's out of the way, let's get started. Good afternoon everyone and welcome back to the channel. So if you don't know how to do multi-monitor support, I'm not going to go through it in this video, but I use a program called xrandr and I've done a separate video on that before, so I'll put that up in the top corner, so go check that one out. So if you've already got multi-monitors set up and you just want to know how to use it better and maybe in a way that you didn't know how to use it, then keep watching this video. Or if you want to keep watching and you haven't got multi-monitor set up, I guess you can watch it then. So we're going to go into my i3 configs, and the first thing that we're going to go over is workspaces. So by default, you have 10 workspaces, but you can actually add more. I was adding them off camera just then, but I must have made a mistake somewhere. Okay, so by default, you have these first 10 in here, but you can actually keep incrementing it. So if you just add workspace 11, workspace 12, you might even be able to use other letters. I'm not sure. I haven't tried it without just sequentially numbering them. So if you can do that, then go ahead, but otherwise you can just do it like this. So if you want to say jump to workspace 11, for example, we'll swap this second one here. So we'll swap that to workspace 11. We'll save that, reload my config. And now if I jump to workspace, what was workspace 2, that'll now take me to 11. So you also don't have to actually give these numbers here. So you can, if you're the kind of meticulous person who likes to neatly lay out all of your workspaces. I'm not the kind of person who likes to do that, but if you are, you could, for example, just give these names. So we'll just call the first one main. We'll refresh my configs, and as we'll see down here, it's now called main. For some reason, it didn't update the old version of it. I don't know why. Maybe it treats it as a different workspace if you change the name. Either way, you can give them names if you want to give them names. But you might have to, if you rename some of the ones you're already using, you might have to then, I guess, move everything off them and move them back. I haven't actually done that before, so I didn't realize that was a problem. Anyway, not too important. So you also, by default, have this thing where you can move between workspaces. But there's a couple of things that are a little annoying about working multi-monitors, and they can be fixed very easily. So the first one we're going to go over is moving workspaces between monitors. So one thing that I very, very often do is I will, when I'm recording, I've got OBS and I've got Dolphin open up on a second screen. I'll occasionally open up OBS on my main screen. I'm like, okay, I guess I have to quit it and then move it over, or I have to move it over with one of my other hotkeys. But if I was to use, more than 2 monitors, then that would be annoying. Or if I wasn't paying attention to what my workspace was called, I might move it to the wrong workspace, and that would be annoying. But you also have the option of just straight up moving entire workspaces over to another monitor. So I'll make another one on my secondary screen. I'll put a terminal on there, and I will now move it to my main monitor. So I've got that as mod control and then main. So as we can see now, that is now showing the terminal that I had open on my secondary screen. And now I can move that back, and there we go. You can't see it, but it is on my second screen right now. You can do other things besides just moving it to like a primary monitor or a named output. So this second one I've got here for my secondary monitor is plugged into HDMI 1. So this moves any workspace that I've currently got focused on to that workspace. But you can also use the directions that monitors are placed within xrandr. And that gave me an interesting idea. I haven't set it up on this system, but you might be able to do it. So if you used xrandr before, you might know that when you set up monitors, you place them to like the right of another monitor or to the left of another monitor. You might be able to make a circle of monitors. So if you place a second monitor to the, let's say, the right of your main monitor, and then you place the main monitor to the right of that monitor, maybe that'll create a cycle. I don't actually know if xrandr lets you do that. I haven't tried it. If that works, then you could use something like this command here, move workspace to output right, and then just cycle them through. And as you can see, I've got it bound to L because Vim keys are nice, so you can bind that to anything you want. So I've also got the other Vim keys bound in here, even though I'm not going to use up and down at this stage. But as I mentioned in a previous video where I was going to set up virtual monitors, at some point I'm going to get a 4K screen and basically just stick 4 virtual monitors on there, and then effectively have 4 monitors on my desk at once. I guess 5 if I haven't plugged in my laptop, but it's probably going to be plugged into a desktop system. And yes, I can move the workspaces between each of the different screens by using the workspace numbers, but I very often, let's say I'm occasionally very bad at reading, so I will misread the number that's there and move it to the wrong workspace. Whereas if I'm moving in a direction, so if I've got a virtual monitor and I want to move it to the virtual monitor above it, I can just use this command here, so move workspace to output up, and that'll move it to the workspace above it. So some of these other things in here aren't specifically useful for multi-monitor systems, but they're just useful all around. So move focused window and swap to that screen. So you can move a container to a workspace and also jump your cursor directly to that workspace. And that actually is really useful for multi-monitors. So if you are, say, using multiple screens, then you're probably going to move something from one screen to another screen, and maybe you want to be actually using that straight away. And if you were to just move the container over to that workspace, you would then have to drag your cursor all the way over, or you could, there's probably some other hotkey in i3 to jump directly to a screen, but I haven't got that set up right now. I probably should have checked that. But you can chain i3 commands together by putting a semicolon in here. So when I press mod control 1, that'll move a container, so a container is a window, to workspace 1, and then it will swap to workspace 1. So swapping to workspace 1 basically just means move your cursor over to that screen and focus on that window, or move your cursor over to that workspace and focus on that window. So as I mentioned before, there is this move workspaces between monitors. I've also got the equivalent of moving containers between monitors, and that is a really long chain of keys to press. I might think of a better sequence of keys, but right now that's good enough. It's a little annoying to hit, I guess, but I can do it. So this will basically just move a window to a output. Yes, as I've mentioned before, you can directly name the workspace. So if I want to move so say I have workspace 2 on my second screen, workspace 1 on my main screen, and I've got a terminal on my main screen. So I can move that to workspace 2 by moving it directly to workspace 2, or I can move it to my second screen. So the reason I like having multiple ways to do it is because I am occasionally very forgetful with my hotkeys, and if I have multiple ways to do the same thing, even if they're slightly different, if the end result is the same, they're basically the same, if I have multiple keys to do the same thing, I am far less likely to forget all of them. At least that's for me. Maybe some people find it harder to remember stuff if they've got multiple ways to do it, but I don't. I find it easier. So if you want to use just one of these and achieve the exact same thing, then go ahead and do that. But for me, I like the setup that I have. So the last couple of things I'm going to show are purely aesthetic changes. So if we come down to my bar, right now I've got my tray output. So that is the system tray. I've got my system tray on my second screen, so you don't see the little OBS recording sign. But if I was to move that to my primary screen, so we can do that, you can see what I've got in my system tray. So if we look down here now we've got the system tray with Brave, Discord, Network, Manager, Applet, Library, and OBS. So it's nice to be able to move these between different screens, just in case you don't want to have things like, as I said, the OBS recording thing, or you don't want to have, I guess, whatever else you got in your applet tray output thingy. And the other thing that you can do is you can also change which screens your actual bar is being shown on. So if I, for example, want to record my videos and I don't want to have it shown on my main screen, I can move this line, or I can remove this line, I guess, rerun that, and now we can see down here I no longer have my i3 blocks bar, but it's still available on my secondary screen. So if I wanted to record with a completely clean window, I could do that, but I would still then have my time on my secondary screen. Or maybe you like having one of your screens being completely clean for whatever aesthetic reason. Maybe you're just trying to take a picture of it to post on Reddit or something. Whatever your reason is, you can disable your bar on certain screens and still have it available on others. And now it is back. So I think that might be pretty much everything. There's probably some other neat little things you can do with i3, and I might do another video on them at some point, but these are just some of the random things that I came across that I feel like really do improve the way that I use this window manager. So if you like this video, remember to smash that like button and leave me a comment down below letting me know what you think. If you've got any other tips and tricks you want me to cover about i3, or if you want me to check out another window manager, let me know. Maybe I'll use DWM at some point, so if you've got any hints for that, maybe put them down below, or I don't know, maybe go onto my Discord, because I've also got a Discord now. The link for that is down below, and also I have a library where all of my videos are mirrored, so go check that out if you want to see my videos on a platform that is not YouTube. But if you do want to watch on YouTube, remember to subscribe and ding that little bell icon down below, because it'll really help the channel out. But if you do want notifications, because YouTube can never be trusted, go follow my Twitter and my Mastodon and you'll probably get updates there. And lastly, up in that corner, I've got the playlist that this video is in. It'll probably be something like Linux Rising, so go check that out if you want to see random other Linux videos. So I think that's pretty much everything for me, and I'm out.